I don't think people care a lot about what's going on. I think they want an answer, right? Yeah. They want the resolution.
The buzz is gone. I'm not getting hit up by different counties being like, hey, I heard through the grapevine. They used to reach out often. Hey, when you guys open, what services is? What about this? What about that?
The team is going to have to be so precise, and we know things are going to break because it's a startup and systems aren't going to work truly how we design them and all that.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to be really nimble, really flexible, really adaptable, and show up to do it.
So,
back at it, Inside Ava Health.
Here we are.
Roman Braly, Christopher Bennett, Ava Health. Boom, coming at you, as always, behind the camera.
Yeah.
Bringing you behind the scenes. Last episode, Inside Ava Health, we talked about this vision that we had 2 years ago on building trust in a community and what that looks like, and the work that you've done, the work that I've done, and what that produced. And employees wanting to work here, clients wanting to be treated here, stakeholders believing in our vision, all of this. Then we ended that episode saying, but there was a catch. There was, even though we had almost 170 people who tried to admit over a 90-day period, we were unable to serve based on being denied a contract with our local payer for Medicaid. So we had this vision. We executed the vision. It worked. However, it didn't work once there was that barrier in place, which what we've now started to see, it's been 12 weeks since we opened, has been this kind of like significant hope that built over a couple years, and now it seems to be coming way down.
Yeah.
So talking today about like what we're now experiencing and how do we continue to show up and deliver and to work towards delivering on that promise and not being somebody else that's just done the same thing that's happened to Mesa County in the Western Slope for decades. Big promise, big vision, lots of hype, lots of excitement, to not fall through.
Yeah, man, you recently wrote about this in your newsletter, which is, in my opinion, the best newsletter in the game. Go check it out.
Letters from the Resistance.
Boom. Which is the perfect name, by the way. Good job on that. But you wrote about this, the selling snake oil, right?
Yeah.
And it was great. And it was something that I had heard. You know, I keep my ear to the street.
Community engagement architect, the best, the only.
Out here, and I started to hear this. Now, you know, let's backtrack a little. Like 6 months ago, I remember us getting ready to open, doing this marketing thing. And I remember having a conversation with you, being like, hey, I'm a little bit afraid that we're coming out full force saying we're going to do all this stuff. And I remember telling you, if we don't deliver, this is going to be a huge fucking problem.
Yeah.
And I remember us having like a real conversation about this. And like, I don't think either of us could have anticipated the major barrier that popped up 3 days. What was it? 3 days? 9 days before we opened. Like that wasn't necessarily even on my mind.
Right.
But the thought is like, we're promising all this stuff. If we don't deliver, that's going to be a bad look.
And I remember the conversations, because I mean, I've said like this was just never on the radar that would happen. No. So the conversations that I think when you were bringing up the concern is like, if we don't deliver, right? And I know that wasn't only you, but that was different stakeholders in the community that were like, look, like you're talking about a lot of stuff and single point of entry and this intake center and like all of these different services and service lines. And it was like, I remember thinking, like this team, right? Our team is going to be put under a massive amount of pressure. I remember when we had Mesa County's co-response team here a couple months before we opened, and they said, and they'd showed up at about 2:00, and they said we had 6 interactions today with individuals by 2 p.m. that we would have brought to your intake center. And it was like we kept getting some of that, and it was like, yes, the team is really going to have to step up
Yeah.
to deal with, right, like the demands that existed
Correct.
here. But that's how I looked at it in terms of
yeah,
like,
of course.
like that was going to be the bigger concern, was just like the team is going to have to be so precise, and we know things are going to break because it's a startup and systems aren't going to work truly how we design them and all that.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to be really nimble, really flexible, really adaptable, and show up to do it.
Yeah, that was the pressure.
Yeah.
We weren't even thinking about this thing over here.
Right.
Could have potentially like put everything at risk. Turns out, team solid, dude. Turns out, system is in place. Work, right? Everything else is kind of running pretty smoothly. We've had like minor hiccups here and there, like any normal startup would have. But yeah, I remember it had to have been like 8 months ago now. We met with Captain Sorensen, and I remember him saying like very clearly, like, yeah, there's skepticism of you guys, and being like, that's fair. We're new. But him being like, well, yeah, like what happens is somebody comes in this community promising all this stuff, does it, starts to do it, and then inevitably just disappears. So then what he said is we as a community take 1 step forward and then 3 steps backwards. And he's like, this has been a cycle.
Yeah.
And being like, okay, all right, clearly like we're working with a wounded community.
Yeah.
That definitely has a lack of trust. So we have to knock this out of the park. And we were ready, and we've come prepared, and we've done everything that we set out to do, including dealing with this hurdle that we've had to overcome.
Yeah.
Now, the fallout from not being able to deliver everything that we said that we would, we're feeling it.
Yeah, and it's a big yet.
It's a yeah.
Right? Because nothing's changed,
totally.
right? Like nothing's changed in the vision, nothing's changed in the services, nothing's changed in any of that. What it's forced us to do, and we won't go too deep in it because I do just want to talk about like the community experience and then what we're how we're looking at that piece. But it's like the promise is the promise.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just going to take slightly longer than we anticipated. Like we're not going anywhere.
No.
We still are bringing people in. We're still finding creative ways to get people access. We're still doing all of that stuff. And that's not seen a lot by the community.
No.
Because when I'm asked to come speak at a community event and folks ask about services and access and all this, I always have this little asterisk.
Yeah.
And it's an unfortunate asterisk, right? And so, that's part of it. And it's like, so what we did was we created so much hope. And then people were like, Ava Health's open and we can't send because they have this type of insurance.
Yeah.
So you and I spend the majority of our work in how are we seen externally? How do we have relationships with providers? Like what are some of the things that you've seen happen in the past 90 days that may be a little bit different than what we saw for the previous year and a half? I'm curious, like what have you been seeing?
Well, I want to set the stage too, that when you and I kind of came together to do this and kind of split the thing, it was like intentional, right? It was very intentional. You and I have worked together for a long time. We know each other well. And we also know that we're kind of like 2 different sides of the same coin, right? Like I think of the suit and the sauce, right? And it was like, yeah, you should probably meet with politicians, not me, right?
Yeah.
And like, I should probably be talking to those who are currently in house, right, on the street. Like, that's more my zone. So we've been able to kind of divvy that, which has done well in building relationships in this community. So I'll let you talk about your relationships. But for mine, personally, for those in the community, there was such a excitement about Ava Health. I mean, our grand opening event, like I thought we were going to do a good job with that event. And I thought people were excited and would show up. But over 300 people came to our open house grand opening event. Like I was kind of blown away. the amount of love and support and excitement in that building and in that room, it was like the accumulation of the last 2 years of work that we put into this. And there was a real buzz around town in different circles. I was being introduced to people who had already heard about us and were excited that we were here. I had people reaching out from different counties being like, hey, we heard through the grapevine that you're here and we're excited and we can't wait to do this. And it was like, we're fucking doing it, man. We're doing it. And then now it's like, we've been open. We can't provide all the services yet that we wish to for population here locally. And like that buzz is gone. The buzz is gone. I'm not getting hit up by different counties being like, hey, I heard through the grapevine. People that I've had relationships with here locally have gone like, they used to reach out often. Hey, when you guys open, what services is? What about this? What about that? Nothing, you know? And it's, man, it's disheartening, you know? And like, I don't take anything personal. You can't in life or in business, right? It's not personal. Like, I totally understand. Like, there was high expectations that we set the bar. We set the expectations really high.
Yeah.
Right?
No one else
So,
did.
like, it wasn't, nobody added that pressure. That was totally on us. Yeah. And for like unforeseen reasons, like we haven't been able to hit those expectations fully. So I get it.
Well, yeah, it's on us.
Yeah, totally. 100% on us. With that being said, like it's a little bit disappointing.
Yeah. It's disappointing probably because there's one thing about access, which, I mean, you just look at our logo, right? It says adaptable, accountable, accessible, right? Like it's part of literally like just exactly who we are.
Yeah.
But when we think about like the quality of care that is being delivered to the folks here now and the gratitude shared about what we're bringing and how we're delivering and how we're showing up, that helps balance it a bit for me, which is, yes, right now, we'd much rather have 150 people in our care, not 18.
Totally.
Right? And some of the ways that we structured being able to create that access are things that only Medicaid pays for.
Yeah.
So, right, like transitional housing, we know is a problem here. We have that, but Medicaid only pays for that. Commercial insurance doesn't actually pay for that service.
Right.
So like what we designed was truly for here.
Yeah.
And so we're sitting just like rock and hard place of like, do we open? Do we not open? Like, and I think it's not even so much about getting into like the tactical as much as it is, how do we continue to show up? How do we continue to be present with folks and say, nothing has changed in the promise. It's just that what we did was we did a really good job for 2 years of building that kind of culminated in that grand opening celebration, which was 2 weeks after we opened.
Right.
And there was so much hype.
Yeah.
300 people. Like I've done openings before. You've done openings before. Like in major metropolitan cities.
Oh, yeah.
And haven't had half.
Oh, no, dude. When I
people.
opened my program in downtown San Diego, right? There was half, less than half.
That's what I mean.
The amount of people that we had here.
Right. So it's like it's like this idea that I wrote about of like a deferred hope.
Yeah.
You know, and you're right, because that example you brought up, right? It's like this one step forward, like the trust is built almost, or it's the trust is working there. And then there's this pullback, right?
Absolutely.
And so like the short of it is it's all now about being able to deliver. But it's also how do we continue to be a part of the community, continue to work within the community, to continue to say, and like the promise has not changed, services have not changed. We will find a way, whether or not the payer decides that they want to, collaborate.
Right.
Doesn't matter. We're going to figure it out. Right. And we're on the verge of having figured that out and being able to serve and to create that access. But I think it will continue to be this process probably for years.
Of course.
Of
course.
how do we establish what we're doing in the community, build hope, inspiration, connection, trust. And then there's just always going to be like a hiccup. There's always going to be something that happens. So how do we maybe not create so much and then like this and try to be a bit more consistent, which is not easy for us because you and I operate at the extremes.
Of course.
You know, and we do set expectations that are insanely high.
Yeah.
Not just for ourselves, but for this organization.
For everyone.
I mean, this is the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, hindsight's 20/20, man. There's a bunch of things that we could have done a little bit differently in preparation.
Like?
Right? Well,
I'm curious. What could we have done differently?
well, off the top of my head, having all our contracts before we open doors, you know? But again, like that's something that we didn't expect that. And we had kind of set everything up for that not to be an issue.
Yeah, but you're also burning cash, right? So there's all this stuff you're having to like balance, which is, yes, you want to, of course, have everything, but you can't continue to burn. And, right? So like it's the day you open is that hard, like there's never the right time. You kind of guess. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So for like the next one.
But I see your point.
You know what I mean?
But I see your point.
There's things that we could and will in the future do differently, you know? And this is like a learning process. Anytime you have a startup or a new company or a new business, or you come into a new environment and new community, there's going to be lessons to be learned. Now, the other part of this for me too, of what we could have done differently, is for 2 years, definitely over a year on social media and publicly speaking about transparency, right? Like that's one of our cornerstones, man, of coming on here and being transparent, coming on here with David and Ian and talking about the business with David and talking about the finances out there in the community at all these community organizations and talking about everything and being fully transparent, attracting staff by being transparent ourselves about who we are, what our mission, vision, values are, being transparent with clients on what they can expect. Part of the hype that we built was based on being transparent. This roadblock has come up. We haven't been fully transparent about that.
In what way?
I think I would just say that because it was kind of a fluid situation, we were trying to scramble to like figure out this thing. We've kept some of that here. Inside.
Okay.
So like we haven't been like out publicly talking about this for like great reasons, right? We don't want to burn any bridges. We don't want to throw anyone under the bus, right? Like there's been things that we've done a little bit differently, which I think plays into the part now where people are like, dude, what happened? Like you guys said you're going to do all this, pumped us up, and now we're hearing through the grapevine that you can't do this. And like, I know you and I have gone to some of the local committee meetings and been like, hey, we're fully open, ready to do this, except this asterisk, we can't do this right now.
Right.
And so we've talked a little bit about it, but I think there is some of that pullback also because we haven't fully like been transparent about the whole process and everything that's going on behind scenes. Also, like finding new funding sources, right? Like that's not something that we've really talked about. We haven't talked about taking clients here for free, right? Not getting paid for clients, just to have people in the milieu and at the houses, right? Taking people off the street and being like, oh, we don't care if you have insurance or not. Like, come on in, you need help.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about that. And like, there's reasons why we're not talking about all those things, but that's something that probably, I think, plays a part in some of the like pullback from the community.
It's interesting, you know, because that does resonate. Like that does resonate a bit, right? I mean, we definitely have published content. We haven't talked a ton here, like video wise.
No.
I know we've talked like in the newsletter, and I've put out like when this happened and what we were facing. And I know then we talked about it, but you're right. It's the bigger question probably for me is like, well, how do you talk about things they're so fluid?
Yeah.
Right? Like one conversation leads to the next. Mm-hmm. One way of escalating the issue leads to the next, right? Like without damaging those relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that's like an important piece is we can talk about anything that exists within this milieu,
of course,
within this organization, within the ways that we're seeing things because, right, we're not damaging anything that we need. And ultimately what we need is we need great relationships with the regulatory agencies.
Yes.
We need great relationships with payers. We need great relationships with these external folks. And so how do we share information that also preserves those relationships, no matter what's going on behind the scenes, right? And like I think that's the balance. And I knew we would run into some of this stuff,
of course,
down the road.
Yeah,
I never anticipated so quick. So I know for me, at least, what I can share is that I haven't felt like I have a great framework or roadmap of how to share a lot of what's going on, right? Outside of saying things like, I'm half of my job now, if not more, is working with these external parties and these stakeholders to move this issue forward. Right?
Yeah.
But that's so like broad.
Yeah.
That people are like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But it's like, no. Like there's a lot of progress, but it's like, what do you even share, right, in that? And that, I think you're right. It's like, oh, has Ava Health gone silent?
Yeah. That's kind of, right? Yeah. That's part of it. And like, it makes me think of like, if you've ever like had a breakup with a partner, right? And then that partner goes out and they're like, oh yeah, fuck him. He was the worst. He sucked. And you're like, well, I'm not going to defend myself. I'm not going to badmouth her. I'm just going to not participate. I'm just going to take the higher road, right? And like, that's kind of what this kind of reminds me of. And then there's like, some people are going to be like, oh, well, he didn't respond, so all must be true, you know? And I think that, we haven't talked fully openly because first and foremost, like, what's there to talk about, you know?
Yeah.
There's not a resolution yet. It's coming and things are in the works, but maybe we should talk about that. Maybe that's what we should talk about. Some of the resolutions, some of the things that we're doing. We don't have to burn bridges. We don't have to throw anyone under the bus. We don't have to.
No.
My initial response was like,
yeah, I mean, I think we all,
war.
Yeah, I think we all kind of took that approach.
But we talked about this early on, man. The systems are broken-ish, right? We're not out to reinvent the system. We need to figure out a way to operate within these systems. Mm-hmm. And you've been very clear about that from the beginning.
Oh, yeah. I can remember content.
Yeah.
Like one of the Airbnbs from like a year ago or more where we were having this exact conversation. Yeah. You know?
So, and this is that in practice now. We talked about it over a year ago. Now we get to do it. Yeah. We're not reinventing the system. We're trying to figure out how to navigate and operate within the system that is, unfortunately, a little broken.
Yeah. And ultimately, I mean, I wrote about this in the newsletters. I don't actually think people care. And I don't mean they don't care about our community or they don't care about behavioral health or they don't care about us or any of that. I don't think people care a lot about like what's going on. I think they want an answer, right? Yeah. They want the resolution. Yeah. So it's like right now, like you said, we've been holding off on opening some things. We've been holding off as we're continuing to push things forward, to look for creative solutions, to look for resolution, to move all this forward. But there is no resolution currently, right, that we can share, right? Because we're still figuring it out. We're close. We're still figuring it out. I think the community here, we asked what they needed. They told us what they needed. We told them we would deliver. We haven't been able to. So I think at this point, like, we can come on and have all the conversations. When folks ask me, like, oh, like, what's the deal? I sit with them for 20 minutes and I say, like, this is exactly like what's going on. This is exactly like how we're approaching this situation. I think at this point, people are like, look, like, put up or shut up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you guys hyped. you guys, to your point, you guys set the expectation.
100%.
Like we didn't. Like you came, you said, here's what we're going to do, deliver. Like that's it, right? So it's like, I think the last line in that newsletter I wrote was something to the effect of like, the community doesn't have to believe. They just have to experience.
Yeah.
The experience is going to be, oh, they actually pulled through. They actually delivered on that promise. Now we can build a little bit more trust back up again and we can see how it goes. You know, so to your point, I don't know. Like it would be interesting for folks that are engaged with us. Like would more transparency have helped? Would it have been helpful to know
Who knows?
how much I've been working and who I've been working with and what some of those steps have looked like and the support that we have had really behind the scenes in these efforts, right? Would that have been helpful? I don't know. Like if it would be, then like that's an interesting thing for the next roadblock we run into that maybe helps us orient a little bit more. But I think all this community really cares about, which I understand, is fucking deliver. Like
Totally.
don't talk anymore.
Yeah.
Just do exactly what you said you were going to do. We're going to be stoked.
Right.
And then just do it for like a long time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Well, that's like part of it is like this attitude now of like, hey, yeah, like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving, right? Like we ain't going anywhere. We're
Probably not the best reference, but I agree with the sentiment of like, we're not going anywhere.
we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, like we're not behind the scenes. Like we're still out there. We're still doing our thing.
Yeah.
Like
We're not just hiding in the closet.
yeah, we're not just going to disappear.
Correct.
Yeah. And I think that the community needs to hear that. But again, I can imagine I've gotten to know this community well over the last few years, you know, and I think that there's very much a sentiment now of just deliver. Like keep doing your thing, but just deliver. So it's like, I don't think we change a lot of like the work that we're doing specifically because I still think there's so much value in people being able to see what it's like for a business to talk about the struggles that it's having externally.
Absolutely.
Right? That
You don't hear about that.
that we're not behind the scenes just saying like, no, everything's good with Ava Health and now it's just like this. And, you know, it's like, no. The promise is the promise. Like, that's it. Like, the properties are purchased. They're ready. We're trying to figure out creatively how to get everything open, how to create access, get people care paid for. And that stuff is a lot of what's going on. But I just think this community is in a place where they're saying, just deliver on your promise.
Yeah.
So it's no longer about hype. It's no longer about like the excitement. It's now a bit flatter. And it's like, let's just deliver. And so I think about some of the things that we're continuing to put together, even in the midst of this, which is like trying to participate in community action and being a part of different things and starting like the Friday night function and bringing like this community here and together for like activities for sober individuals. And, you know, we've started meetings here and we're about to have the largest men's meeting, I think, in Mesa County that will be here like every Tuesday night. Right. Like we're like, so it's like even in the midst, like we may not be out there talking about everything because we're actually doing a lot of things right now. And
that's a good point, right?
Is
pretty busy.
Yeah, we are turning this into something. And like I said, I mean, I just think things will start to shift again with people's relation to Ava and our brand when we say, here's the access.
Yeah.
We just deliver on it. You know what I mean?
I agree. And excited for that to come.
Well, for sure. I mean, look, this place was never designed for what it may have to turn into temporarily, which is to serve people that have commercial insurance and the ability to pay. However, we don't sit around and wait. So it's just one of these episodes where we don't really know what happens. I think the key here is we just have to deliver for this community, and that's it. Like, and I get it. This is on us. We hold the responsibility for that and the accountability for that.
Totally.
Now it's on us to deliver. And so it's just like it's a stay tuned. It's like,
Let's go.
We can't wait to share more of what's been going on over the last 12 weeks once there's a resolution. It'll be a really cool story to be able to talk about how we've been able to get through all this.
Absolutely.
So, stay tuned. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, what are we even doing here? We got work to do. So.
You heard Roman. He told me I got to get back to work.
Yeah. So.
Inside Ava Health, behind the scenes, Roman Braly, Christopher Bennett, coming at you. Stay tuned. More to come very soon on delivering on the promise that we made to Mesa County, the Western Slope. Here we go.
Like, comment, subscribe.
See you next time.
Peace.
Peace.